Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Hallmark Christmas movies.
I'm Alonso, and I may be struck by lightning by the end of this episode about Hallmark Christmas movies, and this
is the Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host this podcast. Hope you like this jolly podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Merry Friday to you.
Alonso, if that lightning thing was true, we all would have been torched years ago.
we're all living on borrowed time.
That's right.
Brian is once again not here with us today, and it has nothing to do with the fact that this is a Christian movie. Nothing to do with that.
Man, he sat out the two big boys, didn't he?
Woo!
Didn't he?
Man.
Oh.
That's a
You
choice.
better be back for the Kwanzaa movie, or it's going to get ugly in here.
That's right.
Boy, I tell you what. Happy Friday, everybody. Can you believe it?
I
Only
can.
one more Friday before Christmas.
Wow.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
big news.
Well, this is the last day of school, so I get 2 weeks with no school, which is
right.
great.
That's right.
Nice.
Alonso, you're getting ready to travel a little bit for the holidays. So you haven't traveled for Christmas in a while. Are
Very
you,
long while.
You excited to endure the hustle and bustle of the airport Christmas week?
Well, I don't know if excited is the word I would use, but I'm resigned to it. I'm really pumped about this because I have not gone home for Christmas in a very long time because for a long time I worked at a magazine where, because of the production schedule, we had to be at work like a day or two after Christmas. So I got into the habit of, doing a big Christmas here, and Dave and I do a big Christmas dinner or eat Christmas Eve dinner for our friends. But this is going to be the first time I spend Christmas with all the Duraldes in Atlanta in a very long time. And it's like me, all of my siblings, all of the spouses, most of the nieces and nephews. It's going to be just a gaggle of folks, and it's going to be great.
That's
No,
awesome.
I've not met any of your family, but I do imagine it would make for good TV. I don't know. I know you, and many yous would be fun.
He's the only one that's not a
Practically, yeah. Of my 6 siblings, 4 of them are MDs.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
but all very sarcastic and camera ready. So I think
And you'll correct all of their grammar. You'll
That's
correct
right.
all of it, and you won't even hesitate. Because that's my job as the baby of the family.
Sure, but why not? It's what I'm here for. By the way, speaking of grammar, just a quick reminder to everybody as we get down to Christmas, if you're looking for last minute gifts, pick up a copy of I'll Be Home for Christmas Movies, the book that I wrote with these gentlemen and Panda about Hallmark movies. And if you're here, clearly you're into them. And you could also pick up my previous book, Have Yourself a Movie Little Christmas. Just saying.
That's right.
It's true, and I gotta say, our
for kiddos, we Christmas again, all kinds of options for everyone.
sorts of Christmas books for you. And I think
Stuff
we are
all the
about
time.
due next holiday season for another I'll Be Home for Christmas Movies book. So if you buy one this year, who knows what will
That's
happen.
right.
Who knows?
Alonso back to work.
That's right. Back to work indeed. Dan, do you got any big plans next week?
I'm going to go to Columbia, South Carolina to see
Okay.
my extended family. It's my favorite thing to do. Growing up, grandma's house. My grandma's no longer with us. May she rest in peace. Family's still around, and we go and hang out and do the whole bit, and it's a lot of fun.
Are you gonna see me?
I will see you on Christmas Day, I'm sure. We'll be a few from each other.
I've got a Christmas gift for you this year.
What do you? I feel my.
Okay.
But I got to be honest. It's in the mail. But get here. It's not a bit. That's life. What do you get kids? What's the big gift this year for your kids?
My kids. I knew I was forgetting some. I don't know, just a beluga of stuff.
That's right.
A hodgepodge beluga, trinkets and whatnot.
Gizmos.
Yeah. The great thing about
Under 6.
Yeah.
Your kid's turning 5 next week.
Yes.
This week.
Yes. Yes. The great thing about having living in both sides of your family is you don't have to do a ton of Christmas shopping for your kids because they will end up $1 million toys.
That's right.
So you gotta your space. Give them a few things so that you don't parent, and then let everyone buy the big stuff. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
And you're doing it.
What?
Do your siblings try to?
Right.
Does your family members try to indirectly torture you by buying your kids like the noisiest toys possible?
Listen, if they do that, that thing gets sucked. Although I will say this, now that my kids
batteries
are
get
old
lost.
Now that they're old enough to remember when they were younger, like 3, 4, 5, because we don't do every house. So like at my parents, they would get a toy, be like, that's annoying. That toy is annoying. And so by the time we would get home, it weirdly along the way, there was like a vortex. Something happened to it. But now that they're older, there's nothing I can do.
But you could do
hey,
if your parents live closer, you could be like, hey, I think that's a grandma and grandpa's house.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Nana and Papa.
Yes, yeah, of course.
There you go.
Of course. Let's talk about the gift of peace, shall we? The Gift of Peace originally aired on December 10th, both on TV and at ChristmasCon in front of a live studio TV audience. And it went a little something like this. The movie kicks off with a narrator talking about strangers saying hello during the holiday season and how you never really know who you need in your life. Stuff like that, we meet Tracy. What?
Not that Tracy.
Okay, God bless.
Different Tracy.
She's
gonna want to stay out of this one, Tracy.
No.
Okay.
She's a painter, and she starts to play a little piano, which cuts to a flashback of her with her husband playing piano, working on art, which they did together. Cut back, and her husband has passed away. It's been 2 years since then, and she's still figuring out how to paint and do life without him being around, especially during the holiday season. She goes to the Christmas market with her friend Joy and bumps into a guy named Michael. They're friendly, and he's like, hey, I gotta go. Once things get a little too friendly, he pieces out. She realizes that she recognizes Michael from her old church. She thinks that he runs a support group, and so she hasn't been to church since her husband passed and is not interested in going back anytime soon. But after she has a really tough day, she decides to give the support group a shot. But at the group, she can't find it in her to pray, and she awkwardly leaves. And Michael runs after her, and she just like apologizes and leaves. The next day, they bump into each other again at the art store, and he tells her that the group paints model trains every year, invites her to help with that. And wouldn't you know it, she shows up for the next group time. She shares that she's angry. That's it. That's all she's going to share. Afterwards, she talks with Michael and says, I noticed that you don't share anything. What's up with that? And he's like, I'm the leader, so I like to focus on other people. I have lost somebody, but then my focus is everybody else. Then he once again awkwardly leaves. She starts showing up more and more, finally opens up about her husband and how they met 6 years ago. He developed a brain tumor, and after he passed, she felt like she has lost everything. They're all thankful that she shares. She finishes her art, and she's at the gallery, opens up the exhibit, and she says that it's going to be different than prior years, and but it's going to be all good. Come back, I'll show you the art. It's going to be different. She hangs out with Michael more, and he asks her on a Christmas wrapping date. She's reluctant, but ends up showing up anyways. They wrap paper. They go up to the gazebo.
They don't wrap paper. They wrap a bike.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
In paper.
Back off. And they go to the gazebo. He opens up about how he met his wife at the gazebo, opens up about how he lost his wife, and how she was in a car accident, and in the car she had an ornament of the gazebo, so he kind of feels like she went out of the way to get this ornament for him, and that's when she passed away. He feels some guilt for that. Also, the ornament cracked, and so he hasn't even really got to enjoy that. So she says, hey, I could fix that for you. So they go back to Tracy's place. She fixes the ornaments, and he plays the piano. They play piano together, and then he awkwardly leaves again. But they keep hanging out. They're having a good time. They're starting to realize that they need each other in order to continue to heal, and that the group is for that. We see different members of the group getting some needed closure with different relationships, and the movie ends with them all getting together. They go to her art gallery, and she paints this amazing picture. She includes different things from her new friends, and it's this beautiful picture of hope. And then they go outside and they release these balloons into the air. And Tracy and Michael share a moment together, saying basically one day at a time. He kisses her hands, and we all cheer. And that, my friends, was the gift of peace. That's exactly right.
Did it.
We are going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll break this movie down for segments here on
Deck the Hallmark.
Hello, everybody. It's your boy, Bran. We're back. We're talking about The Gift of Peace, the first Dayspring movie.
That's right.
On the Hallmark Channel. The first that I remember, like, overtly Christian and, like, messaging heavy on that messaging that I can recall. Yeah, let's break it down. Let's start with the hot take, and I will start with my friend Alonso. Alonso, what did you think?
And where have you started going to church now that you watched the movie?
Yeah, this movie sold me. Yeah, I am, as my husband likes to call me, the Christmas atheist. And so this was an interesting thing, because one of the things I will say that was good about old Hallmark was their decision to not get too deep into anything overtly religious, with the exception of those Godwink movies, which are, terrible in their own way. And so I am not the market for a faith-based movie, at least not this one. I think most faith-based movies operate in the sphere of preaching to the choir, literally, rather than actually trying to sort of, proselytize. But I will say that for this movie, maybe God is the friends we made along the way, because I think you have a lead character who is in mourning, is dealing with grief, and is kind of shutting out the idea of prayer, but also I think shutting out the idea of community. And it's community that ultimately, I think, helps heal her. If you want to say that prayer heals her too, knock yourself out. That's not my jam. But I do think that it's that finding other people who are coping with grief in their own ways that allow her to become, the person that she needs to be. So, on that level, it worked. I beg Hallmark to please put Nikki DeLoach in a wild knockabout Christmas farce, because if I have to see her in grief for a dead relative one more time, like, she's great at it, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about Ginger Rogers dancing, but sometimes Ginger Rogers could just act, Yeah. And so I really want to see Nikki DeLoach in another kind of film, because she is one of my favorite Hallmark actresses. But man, she's been to this well so many times, she has built a path.
Yeah, no. That's almost like a given at this point.
Yeah.
So I was talking with an actor friend that has become a friend of the show a while back, and I was like, "Hey, what are some movies?" Like, they asked what movies I was excited about, and I'm always excited about Nikki's movies and Brennan, and told the premise of the Nikki movie, and he was like, "That's so interesting. I was just offered a role that's basically the exact same thing for another network." With a well-known actor playing the female, and I was like, that's interesting. So I watched that other movie first, and I was like, I hope that this movie is not like that movie. And I was happy that this movie, I felt like, handled things really well, handled the notion of grief and loss, while having a Christian faith isn't necessarily easy just because you can say a Bible verse. I found it especially moving, knowing Nikki and knowing some of what she's gone through over the past years with the loss of her father, knowing Brennan. I think it hit differently knowing them. So maybe a little bit unfair, but I thought both of their performances were just really, really good, really solid. I thought the movie was really good. And I will say, I anticipated this movie being like big sads, which it was, but also I felt like it was pretty even. Like I felt like it leveled itself out pretty well with
life affirming.
Yeah, just some different things that like it wasn't all sad all the time, which I really appreciated. And I thought Nikki and Brennan, this is no surprise, but I thought they were really great together. And so yeah, I really did enjoy this movie. I'm always hesitant as a person of faith going into a movie about faith because I typically don't agree with it and the way in which they go about the messaging. And that is how I felt watching another faith-based movie this holiday season. So I was happy that I left this movie feeling good about that. Dan.
Yeah, this would be an interesting take. I want to preface this by saying we got to watch this morning back to back the movie that aired Saturday night and Sunday night, Holiday Sitter and The Gift of Peace. And I believe while neither of those two movies qualitatively are the best of this year's crop, they represent the best of what new Hallmark is. Old Hallmark was the Hallmark that would appease a certain type of people. We're going to appease people by throwing them a bone that's kind of faith light or faith-ish, and we're going to appease them by not including certain people. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to appease what we believe is our base. New Hallmark is, hey, guess what? We want to show everyone on screen. We want you to find joy, find comfort, find kindness, find goodness in the people that we put on screen. And you know what that means? That means having authentic queer storylines. It means having authentic religious storylines. And this is an authentic religious storyline. It is. It is not if you just say a prayer, pray a prayer, say a thing, go to a place, believe in a thing, then everything works out right. That's not what it is. They do not proselytize to you that they have any answer even. There is a community of people acknowledging their need for something greater than themselves and for each other. And that's beautiful and wonderful. And you know what? Without Brennan and Nikki involved, could have gone downhill in a hurry. But these two, gosh, they're good. They're real. Like Brennan Elliott, I got to meet him again this weekend, and every time you talk to him, he just lights up a room. But he is giving layers upon layers here, and you can tell he's drawing upon a lot of what he's going through right now. And Nikki is always, like you said, Alonso, unfortunately good in these situations. Like you could please let her be in the next Haul Out the Holly. Could we do that? Like that would be amazing because she would crush it. But kudos to Hallmark for saying, you know what it's like to be an authentic Christmas movie channel? It's one where everyone that is open-minded and loves everyone can come around and watch something that they relate to, or watch something that can educate them, or watch something that can make them happy for others. So, you know what? I'm happy this movie exists because it's the first faith-based movie I've seen on a TV network that hasn't made me want to gouge my eyes out. So from that perspective, as someone who considers themselves a person of faith, it was a win. It was a win from that perspective. So good on him for doing it, and good on him for making movies with some integrity.
Yeah. I appreciated that this movie acknowledged that a lot of people struggle this time of year, even Christians. I know that that's shocking because this is Christmas and Christians are magically all better around Christmas.
That's right.
But the messaging of don't give up and don't pull away, I thought was a beautiful message, especially for this time of year, because that's a really hard thing to remember when you're in it. So let's talk about the feels. Let's talk about what gave us those feels. Alonso?
Yeah, it's funny. I also watched Holiday Sitter and Gift of Peace back to back. And in a way, both of them were potentially sort of admonishing to me because I am a gay who never wanted children. Like that's just been my thing. And so, there's a lot of messaging in Holiday Center that's like, you are dead inside unless you want a family, so I coasted over that. And I also appreciated the fact that, unlike some faith-based movies that I've had to see in the theater and review, there was nothing in this movie that made me feel like I'm garbage for not being, a person of faith. So that was nice. I think there are some scenes that really land. The whole hiking thing where they go up into the mountains was, I thought, really beautiful, and even just the getting there, like everybody having to meet at 5 o'clock in the morning and falling asleep in the car, like just little kind of moments of humanity that I think a lot of these movies will skip sometimes. I love that, and I think this might be like a Nikki thing. There's always that really good bench of like the Hallmark actors you really like. Beverly Elliott, always brings it in these. My beloved Cardi Wong, who I really want to see as a lead one of these days. By the way, playing a character named Justin Chang, who is the film critic for the LA Times and
He's
good friend of mine. I love that he's playing a character named Justin Chang. But anyway, it was great to see him in this. The finale, despite the fact that people will tell you you're not really supposed to let balloons go in the air because, dolphins will choke on them.
I made the joke. Don't worry.
But that was handled well. The flashback stuff in the gazebo involving Brennan Elliott, I thought those scenes really landed. So yeah, I think that this is again another movie about grief at Christmas that is the Nikki DeLoach trademark, and I know that now it's a more direct thing for her given recent events in her life. But she knows how to hit those beats but not like hit you over the head with them.
Yeah. The fact that they didn't kiss at the end of this movie gave me feels.
Yes.
And I don't think he would mind me sharing, but Brennan shared that the kiss on the hand was improv. Like it's just something that happened in the moment, and it was a really sweet, tender moment. And I just thought it was perfect. The way that they ended this movie was perfect.
Our second this season, where a widow doesn't have to immediately start make out with the dude. It's like new Hallmark, y'all.
What a season!
What a respect! What a respect Hallmark is starting to have for widows.
I know. I know. Widows aren't always ready to hop back into the sack. I can't believe it.
Give them a process.
I can't believe it. I also really appreciated Brennan's arc in this movie as somebody who worked for many years alongside pastors and different people that are kind of in this role of constantly hearing people's grief, but not feeling like they can be open about their own grief. I really appreciated his arc. That I thought it was really good. And I thought the moment, like when he finally shared in the gazebo, I thought it was beautiful and well acted.
Yeah, the gazebo scene was great, but I'm going to go back to basically my hot take again to say that most every faith-based movie I've ever seen is trying to tell you how to feel. And this movie does a great job of not doing that. And I was so appreciative. I mean, even down to the fact that there's a church scene in the movie, and I just said that church doesn't exist anywhere on the planet because it's perfect. Like that church is literally perfect. It's not proselytizing. It's this old building filled with young and old people of all different shapes and sizes and colors. It's unbelievable and it's amazing. And I loved it. But I just appreciated the fact that this movie wasn't telling you how to feel, judging you, or telling you they had some sort of miracle cure. And I appreciated that so much.
Let's take one more quick break. We'll come back with the way one and the what Hallmark here on Deck the Hallmark.
Is it a whale?
I don't know. Don't let balloons go. Oh, come on.
Oh, now you made it.
God.
You know how I feel about whales.
Don't I? Cue that clip, Trace.
True.
And whales are the worst.
Well, wait till you see Avatar: The Way of Water.
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, the whale guy was on the line?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
I actually made that movie.
You're James Cameron?
Yes.
Well, you sound way different in person.
All right, I'm going to go now.
All right.
That makes a lot of sense.
Alonso, I didn't get a chance to click the video, and I got to talk to you later because I looked everywhere for an Alonso Duralde Avatar 1 review, and I couldn't find one. And so I do need to know your take.
I wrote one for ifc.com back in the day, but you would probably have to go to like the Internet Wayback Machine to find it.
Yeah. It wasn't on Rotten Tomatoes, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Searched it and everything.
Do you want to let everybody know about my Avatar experience?
Oh, you ready for this? So I'm of the belief, since we're doing this, I'm of the belief that Avatar holds very little value outside of the largest screen you can find in 3 dimensions.
Sure.
Like, that is my opinion. In 3D, like, I literally caught myself staring at a fish for 10 minutes. Like, it's amazing. Like, on the small screen, it's like Pocahontas, Dances with Wolves. Like, it's like just whatever, just dodgy script. So, like, I'm here. Like, I've got a ticket to the biggest screen in Greenville in 3D. Like, I'm going. I'm very excited. Brandon has never seen the first one
In its entirety.
His wife loves Avatar. He is going this Friday to the sequel in 2D without having ever seen the first one. And I got to be honest, I would much rather just go to the DMV. I feel like I can't imagine 3 hours and 10 minutes. Haven't seen the first one. 2D.
In my defense, I asked her, "Do you want to see it in 2D or 3D?" And she said 2D.
That's ridiculous.
If there's a compromise where you could see it in 3D, but they don't do the high frame rate, that would be the sweet spot, I think.
Oh, no, I'm going high frame rate. I'm here for high frame rate.
Barring that, I would say 2D because that I hate high frame rate. That's just a personal thing. So,
but this is the movie for high frame rate, though, right?
Not for me. And if you don't like high frame rate anywhere else, you won't like it here either, I think. But I'll let you discover that.
I just have an eye, like, even wearing those fake glasses last week that didn't have frames in them gives me a headache. Like, I just
didn't
can't
have lenses. They had frames that would stay on your face.
Lenses.
Yeah.
But
he's not colorblind anymore.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I will say the tree, I had no idea. I've been faking it this whole time. Christmas lights do nothing for me. Let's talk about the wait. What's Alonso?
This is in the Wait What Hall of Fame for almost all Hallmark movies where like there's this big business thing or whatever that's happening on Christmas when like nobody would be going. But the idea of a Christmas art gallery show of paintings about Christmas and it's annual. It's like, really? Is that like your entire career as an artist is doing Christmas paintings all year round so that in December, like right before Christmas, you can show all of your paintings about Christmas? Like, step back, I think, maybe, and like let this woman be, a little more diverse as a painter. So that one,
not to mention, because we have to pepper this in, or we wouldn't be like the Hallmark. That art gallery exhibit is on Christmas Eve.
Of course, once again, yes, naturally,
on Christmas Eve night.
Because when I want to buy my Christmas paintings, I want to wait till the last possible minute.
That's right. Should we go to mass like we do every year, or should we spend the evening with the family? What if we get new art for next year?
The idea that they have toy trains that they're going to do for the drive, but that they have to paint them. I'm like, did Santa's elves make these trains? Like, where do you get unpainted trains? Like that just seemed like it didn't make sense to me. It wasn't like, oh, we have the woodworking shop and now we're gonna, paint them. So that struck me as kind of bizarre. And that's kind of all I got because I did not take notes while watching this because I didn't know Brian was going to be sick.
Yeah,
and boycotting this episode.
Sick of something, potentially Jesus.
Who knows? Stay tuned.
I don't know.
Poor Brian Harold.
Verdict's still out.
Man, he's joking on the chin.
This is a room you don't want to be in because they will talk about you behind your back.
He had a spreadsheet of all his protests. Got him. Way downtown.
I love that we found apparently the one person who protests both Jesus and gay people.
That's right.
That's right. A very specific person, and we found him. And we found him.
Yeah, he's our co-host.
That's exactly right. In no world, in no setting, regardless of if it's a church or an amphitheater or anything, front row is never the best seat in the house.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's not the best sound.
It isn't.
Sure, you might be closer, but at church, that's kind of awkward. In all of my years of being on a stage at a church, you know how many people I've seen willingly sit in the front row?
No, that's like
Zero.
a last.
That's for when you're late.
Begging people, hey, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We got room in the front. If you guys all want to come up, you guys want to come up.
Now, at a Gallagher show, on the other hand,
Yeah. Or like at any sort of dolphin show, like at the Georgia Aquarium.
The splash zone. That's the only time it's the best seat in the house.
Skipper and
Right
Dog.
after, right after you release the balloons.
I'm intrigued by all of these. Oh man.
We made it
you
dark.
hate to see it.
Oh,
You hate to see it.
sorry, everybody.
I don't know, man. I think never mind. Everyone was I know it's early, but everybody was handed a cup. They woke up, they got themselves to the church, they were handed a cup of coffee, and they still all managed to fall asleep on the way to this place. How far away was this place?
I feel like they fell asleep
fell
instantly.
So fast. Except for the two leads, which is really convenient.
Coffee can only do so much. I get it. I get it.
I don't know, man. If I'm up and I have to get somewhere and I'm handed coffee, the chances of me being able to fall back asleep, if given a bed, would be low. But that's just me. I have a problem.
You do.
I mean, at least it wasn't the driver.
Yeah, at least it wasn't the driver. That's exactly right. They're at this rapping competition, and they're talking about how are we going to wrap this bike, which we've seen now in 2 movies back to back. And they do this, but in the background, also on the table, is a telescope. And that telescope at the end had still not been wrapped.
Yep.
So someone showed up to a competition, was assigned a telescope, and they just said, no, it's a hard pass. I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to attempt it. Dan?
There is not a single piece of good art in this film. Not one. It is just like.
I liked the last art piece.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
I thought that it was decent.
It's Holiday Inn worthy.
None of them for a gallery, I would say, would be like my kids' like school gallery. Sure.
It's not Crown for Christmas, Betty. You remember at the end of A Crown for Christmas when she hands everybody self-portraits of themselves?
Right.
Dude, I will watch the end of that movie anytime it's on TV.
Those
things are terrible. Where that god-awful song is playing over top of it.
Or the photography in Shoe Addicts Christmas, like there's a real Legion of Doom here with the art.
They do flashbacks with Nikki and her husband, and one of the first ones they do, he's playing the piano, she's working on the art, and one of them says, "I just hope we sell enough of these paintings to make our rent payment." So not only do you live in that ginormous house, you're renting it. You're renting this massive. This house is huge. Like maybe just down. Like if that's the biggest problem you have, maybe don't. Like just go to somewhere smaller.
Christmas paintings will cover the rent, but like they're not mortgage ready. You know?
That's right. They're not mortgage ready, so they're going to rent a 5,000 square foot house.
4 bedrooms.
That's right. We need them all. You never know. I know. Look, I don't know. I know how old Nikki DeLoach is. I don't know how old the actor playing her mom is, but it has to be within a plus or minus 8. Like it just does. There's no way around it. And I put minus in as a possibility. Like that. That was just absurd.
Both Nikki and her mom look great.
Yeah. No, they both look like 38.
Fantastic.
It was
and as sisters, they would be convincing.
That's right. Exactly. If someone has been twirling the same piece of spaghetti for actually 10 minutes, you need to call a doctor. And I want to make that very clear. They may have been being like figurative there, but the way he says it makes it sound serious. If that's the case, then there's a big problem. there.
I don't know. At that point, why interrupt? Let's see how long this thing can go for. Like, how long can you do that?
Yeah, let's just time
At
it.
this point, you're going for a Guinness Book of World Records, right? The longest spaghetti twirler.
I will say this. I was shocked to hear that there was a travel prize attached to the winner of the gift wrapping competition for charity. So they're wrapping these gifts for children, and they're like, whoever wins gets like a 3-night, 4-day. Like I was
at a lodge.
shocked by that. And since there is a prize, can I be the first to defend Nikki and Brennan as being completely getting the raw end of this deal? They have to wrap a bike. All they have to do is wrap a truck, like a box truck. Like, it's like one person has to wrap a truck, one person has to wrap a bike. Good luck, whoever finishes first wins. That is not an even playing field.
Well, at least a judge decided, look, telescope's too easy. We're not doing that.
That's right. Telescope's too easy. That's right. That's all I got.
It's time for What the Hallmark. It's where we wonder what could have been. Maybe having get some clarity to the question we still have. Alonso?
So there's a sweet subplot about the character Regina, played by Princess Davis, who is somebody who loved to sing, and then her mother died, and she kind of left the choir and didn't feel moved to do so, and then eventually kind of rediscovers her voice. And my thought is, like, somebody like that who's had to be quiet for a couple of years, or who chose to be quiet for a couple of years, is she just going to now start like belting all the time? And friends are gonna be like, we're in the car, maybe don't like we know you're excited about singing again, but please, enough.
Take it down a notch. Yeah. I got two things about this gift wrapping party thing for charity. One, apparently there's a couple who's won 30 years in a row.
Oh, right.
And they lost this year. They must be
30.
so pissed.
They did not go down easy.
So mad they lost to the two people that barely know each other that wrapped a bike.
And one of them almost didn't show up.
Oh my gosh. They must be so mad. That's all I can think about. How many those poor people, 30 years down the drain. But I'm also just pretty confused as to what it is. Why are they only wrapping unboxed presents? All of these gifts, yes, they are all tough to wrap, but originally they came in a box. I hate to break it to you. All of these things come in boxes. So somebody for charity got things that came in a box and said, you know what? Let's make it tough. Let's
really amp it up.
And they took
all
everything.
the easy stuff. Those are in the truck ready to go.
We're good to go.
But this bike needs wrapping paper all over it, just to throw them off the scent.
Out of the box.
Well, it's if you wrap the giant box, it could be anything, but you wrap a bicycle as such, and the mystery is gone.
The mystery is gone, and I don't think that's great for Christmas morning. But what do I know? Dan?
Yeah, I have to go to the Cardi One character. The way I understand the storyline, his grandmother owned a bakery. He was in law school, stopped law school to run the bakery. Dad got mad at him. That is what I understand. So my question is how far into law school was he? I think that's very important. If he's in his last semester and he pops out of law school with a few, like, I kind of am with Dad, weirdly enough. But if he had just started law school and he just wanted to be a baker, I just felt like that storyline, unfortunately was like the C or D storyline, and we didn't get even as much as we got about the singer. Like, if he's been wanting to bake his whole life, and then he stopped, like, he realizes this when his grandma dies and is like, man, I didn't put my priorities straight, then great, go bake your heart out. If he wanted to be a lawyer and did this to honor his grandma's legacy, then I'm kind of with Dad, weirdly enough. And so, because I want him to do what he wants to do. And so I'm fascinated by that storyline because I feel like it got very shortchanged, and I would like to hear more on it.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If you have one semester left,
can you imagine?
And you're like the cookies aren't going to bake themselves.
You graduate in May, and it's like March 18th, and you're like, look, if people go 6 weeks without their cookies, they're not going to live. I got to go. I got to get out of here.
I was going to study for the bar, but instead I'm making maple bars.
I will say it depends on what type of lawyer also you're going to be. If you are going to be a trash lawyer, then by all means quit and make cookies. They do better for the world.
Please,
it's a net positive. That's exactly right. We did it, everybody. Congratulations, Alonso. we only have one more episode together on Monday, fit for Christmas. Can you believe it?
Wow. Well, but look, 2023 is going to have some very exciting stuff.
I know everybody that knows me knows that I'm very organized, so it should come as no surprise that we are all planned up, Alonso, to July for Christmas movies.
Our last day on the job in 2023 is what, the 20th? I believe it's the 20th of December, and then we get a solid, I think, 12 days off, which is very exciting.
Yeah,
Nice.
We're very excited. But
2022, you mean? Yeah.
Yes,
2022. Yeah, next year.
We're also not
we've
coming
planned
back
it
to
through
work.
next year. We've done it already. Yes.
But 2020. Go ahead.
No, I would say there are hundreds of new Christmas movies this year, so many different streamers and on demand and stuff. So it's like our work is cut out for us.
What I tried to do was cover as many movies as possible without doing the same network twice.
Yeah.
And I think I only had to double up on like
one or two.
CBS, I think, or something, like a couple of networks. But like we're doing things I didn't even know they existed. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Very excited about it. 2023 is gonna be great. We're gonna be back tomorrow with Deck the Life on Court, the last Deck the Lifetime on Court for the year. Can't wait for that. Until then, maybe the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.